I think the best way to talk about my story is to start with the tradition of going to Denmark, Wisconsin, just south of Green Bay, every Thanksgiving and spending time with relatives. And the tradition was to get a live Christmas tree and live garland for the drive home and get it all decorated up with live garland on the mantle, including candles on the mantle. And this all took place basically on Christmas Day of 2000. We had said goodbye to my parents, and I did what I would typically did, is that I would then take the guard off of the fireplace, and I was feeding the fire with the wrapping paper. I took a small box, put it also into the fire, and the small box just had enough, it was just enough pocket of air where it basically caught the live garland on the fireplace. Then instincts take over, and this happens just so quickly. First thing to do was to get my wife and daughter to safety at the side door, and I grabbed the largest pot I could out of the kitchen and started to fill it with water. But that process took 30, 45 seconds, and by the time I went and then tried to put out the fire with the water, the fire had jumped from the live garland to the drapes and then to the top of the Christmas tree. Then I made my next very serious mistake, and that was I said, well, if I could knock down that Christmas tree, since it was just the top of the tree that was burning, and if I could drag it out the front door, I probably would save my house. So that's what I did. I knocked the tree down, dragged it to the front door, carrying it in my left hand, and I got to the front door, and it was in a small little, there was a coat closet and whatever, and I physically tried to open up the front door, but the change in pressure had already made it so that I could not physically open that door. And I don't think I had long to think about it anyway, because the tree basically exploded behind me. It just exploded. So, HCMC, 6.5 weeks in an induced coma. I was burned over 63% of my body. What's the motto here? Would it have been nice to have a fire extinguisher? Yes. Could I maybe have smothered the fire? Maybe. But the key is, when I got my wife and daughter to the side door, I should have just walked out the door.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a continuation of our holiday fire safety message. Now, if you look to my right, your left, there is one sprinkler head in this section right here, one. And a sprinkler works by heat. Now remember, this is just a combustible waste basket. It has a few crumpled up newspaper in it. There, you can see the flame, see the smoke. There's your smoke detector. We're trying to depict a situation where somebody flipped, let's say, a cigarette into a wastebasket or a candle. Look at there. The sprinkler put the fire out. That's the major distinguishing difference. All right, the smoke alarm went off in 11 seconds, so I'm just told 21 seconds for the fire sprinkler. Can you see that, yes, you singed some drapes and some paint, but clearly it could be dried out and usable. All right, ignite the other side, and remember, the only distinction is there is no sprinkler. I'll step out of the way so you can see this in full, and I'm going to have to step back as this fire progresses. Our speaker was very eloquent and very graphic in describing about time and getting out of a burning structure. Okay, begin to see what's happening here. There's a blanket on a couch. The blanket itself is melting. Shut it down. You can see clearly why the need for a fire department to put the right side out.
In terms of Christmas stories, this time of year with holidays, with candles, with outdoor deck fires, I just wish I had had this message and I would have had a few stories so that I could have just walked out the door.